Jungkook shocks fashion world at Calvin Klein USA 2025. Even Taehyung couldn't believe it. I never thought Jungkook could look that powerful. It wasn't the cameras. It wasn't the lights. It wasn't even the audience packed with icons of the industry. What sent a visible shockwave through the runway at Calvin Klein's USA 2025 Fashion Week wasn't something designed or scripted. It was the sudden, silent entrance of Jungkook. Not the K-pop idol, not the global ambassador, not the fan-favorite magnate of BTS, but something far more disarming. Something raw, something alive, something that made even Kim Taehyung, his closest friend, fellow artist, and longtime observer, lean forward and whisper in disbelief. I never thought Jungkook could look that powerful. The question that echoes now across boardrooms, social media feeds, and think pieces is not what did Jungkook wear, but what did Jungkook become? As the face of Calvin Klein's most subversive campaign to date, his presence on the runway wasn't merely a statement. It was an inflection point. Did we just witness a shift in the meaning of modern masculinity? And more importantly, why did it take someone like Jungkook to catalyze it? For those expecting another sleek Calvin Klein rollout, high fashion visuals, commercial ambition, carefully filtered perfection, this was nothing short of seismic deviation. From the very first teaser, a quiet storm was brewing. A dark SUV rolling into Soho blurred silhouettes behind frost-tinted glass. Snippets of denim, flashes of skin, inked stories etched across a body that has been hidden, censored, and commodified for too long. This wasn't branding. This was reclamation. Within hours, the internet detonated. Theories surged. Was this just another campaign? A media stunt? Or was Calvin Klein strategically stripping away every layer of artifice from one of the most overexposed idols of the modern age and asking him to stand in the ashes as a man? When Jungkook stepped out, the silence that swept the room was not one of anticipation. It was a hush of recognition. A tailored, oversized wool coat swirled around his frame like armor. A raw-cut denim ensemble grounded his stride, while worn leather boots clawed at the runway floor. His tattoos, once blurred or covered for the comfort of global markets, were now displayed unapologetically. They weren't just visible, they were featured, centered, honored. Across the floor, jaws dropped. But one stood out. Kim Taehyung, V of BTS, present, seated beside a collection of editors and stylists, reportedly turned to a colleague and said with visible astonishment, "I didn't know he could do that. I didn't know he could look like that." Those words, simple, unscripted, and stunned, have now become a rallying cry. Because it wasn't about fashion. It was about transformation. It was about witnessing someone you thought you knew reveal a version of themselves so unfiltered, so controlled, and yet so vulnerable that you had no choice but to reconsider everything. And if Taehyung, someone who's shared stages, songs, and sleepless nights with Jungkook, was caught off guard, then what chance did the rest of us have? The Calvin Klein campaign this year isn't simply another page in a glossy catalog. It feels more like a manifesto. And Jungkook, standing in the eye of this cultural storm, isn't just a model. He is the message in a world where image is currency, and idols are often stripped of humanity to become consumable perfection. Jungkook's decision to show himself, fully, physically, emotionally, is nothing short of radical. His expression wasn't seductive. It wasn't even performative. It was transparent. There was a moment mid-walk when the camera zoomed in and caught him adjusting his jacket. It wasn't staged. His hand trembled. That tremor wasn't a flaw. It was the moment, because in that second the campaign ceased to be about clothing. It became a cultural mirror. This was no longer about how a man looks in Calvin Klein. It was about what he hides beneath it, about what he's no longer willing to hide. The reactions have ranged from awe to academic inquiry. Cultural theorists have begun dissecting the move, calling it a deliberate interruption of the male gaze, a redefining of Asian masculinity, and a refusal to be idealized. The collection was titled Uncovered, a direct challenge to an industry obsessed with perfection and control. SOY Jungkook? Why now? The answer lies in everything he represents and everything he has refused to become. Since his teenage years, Jungkook has lived under a microscope. Fame molded him, consumed him, tried to silence him. But underneath it all, he quietly documented himself through music, art, tattoos, performance. His body became a living timeline, a testament not just to stardom but survival. And now, he brings all of that to the surface, not with loud declarations, but through silence, gaze, movement. The vulnerability is suffocating. It is uncomfortable. It is real. It is exactly what the fashion industry has long tried to avoid. Taehyung's shock wasn't unfounded. It was emblematic, because what the world saw on that stage was not just a man wearing clothes, but a man unwearing every layer of expectation. It was Jungkook, the myth disassembled in real time. And what remained was Jungkook, the man, angry, wounded, breathtaking, tender. Even more startling is the rumor that this campaign is only the beginning. Insiders close to the shoot claim the full project includes serialized visuals narrated by Jungkook himself, each episode peeling away another layer of his persona. The teaser features no logo, no music, just his voice. I was never meant to be one thing. If confirmed, this would mark Calvin Klein's most intimate, high-risk endeavor to date, one that blurs the line between fashion, performance art, and psychological self-documentary. Sources close to the production suggest that what began as a photo shoot spiraled into something much larger. A visual album? A documentary series? A scripted short film exploring identity and fame? No one is certain. What is certain is this: whatever it is, it's not clean. It's not commercial. It's him. And that, perhaps, is the point. Jungkook's presence forces a confrontation with ourselves, with culture, with the idea of beauty, manhood, and vulnerability. He's no longer offering a version of himself filtered through marketability. He's forcing us to reckon with what we consume when we say we love our idols. And one of the most haunting stills from the campaign, Jungkook is photographed from behind, shirtless, his tattooed back drenched in sweat, head bowed. A small cut on his shoulder hasn't been edited out. There is no lighting correction. Noshmuring. The caption reads, "Would you still love me if I showed you everything?" That question isn't rhetorical. IT is an invitation and a provocation for Calvin Klein, known for its pristine campaigns and aesthetic minimalism. This shift toward raw intimacy is calculated and courageous. For Jungkook, it's something else entirely. It's not marketing, it's liberation. And for Taehyung, the shock was not in the transformation, but in the clarity it revealed. He's never looked more like himself. One fashion editor overheard him saying after the show, "The fashion world is no stranger to statements." But few hit like this. This wasn't a trend. This was a reckoning. As we stand at the edge of what may become a new paradigm in fashion, identity, and representation, one figure is leading the way, not with noise but with presence, with truth, with scars that show, with a gaze that doesn't flinch. The question now isn't whether Jungkook is the future of masculinity. It's whether the world is ready for a masculinity that bleeds, breathes, and no longer asks permission. And in the silence left by Calvin Klein and Jungkook after this debut, no press releases, no interviews, no promotional bombardment, we are left with only one response: watch and wait, because whatever comes next, it won't just change the game, but IT will redefine it.